All right, we're back. We're fortunate to have Ed Price, candidate for mayor in Ocean City, in the studio. How you doing, Ed?
Oh, very good, Bob. How are you?
Not too shabby. Let's start out this way. Tell us about Ed Price. Who's Ed Price?
Oh, Ed Price is a guy who grew up in Vineland, New Jersey, moved to Ocean City 35 years ago, and I own a computer business here in Linwood, New Jersey, and I've been very active in the community for a lot of years. I spent 10 years on the Ocean City Library Board of Trustees, and it was probably one of the most fun things I did in my life.
Really?
In the last 3 years, I was president, and during the time I was president, we did the major expansion and construction of the library and community center complex.
Where's that? Is that down by what streets?
Yeah, that's on. You're going to get me. How many hours I've spent there?
Yeah.
It's between Simpson and Haven Avenues, between 18th and 17th Street.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's a cool spot down there.
Oh, it's great. We did the entire project was $15 million.
Uh-huh.
It came in on time and on budget. We built the senior center on one end.
You won't be good. You won't be good in government. On time and on budget.
There you go.
In government. Come on now.
I will tell you, and it's one of the cornerstones of my campaign. Is I use I say, concept, design, fund, and implement, and that's how we built that building. We first came up with a concept, and we vetted it through a lot of different people. We got people who didn't use the library and community center.
Uh-huh.
We got people who did. We got people who loved it. We got people who didn't like it, and that made for a better project. And that's why it's so successful today. It's constantly full, and everybody says they love it.
One of the things I noticed with your campaign, that fast is a word that you used in your campaign, and I really like the
facts. Right, facts. It's
facts.
Stands for fairness, accountability, communication, transparency, and sensibility. And I think that's what government and government service is about.
It is.
One of the biggest things in Ocean City, that it seems as I've knocked on doors, and I've knocked on doors, hundreds all over Ocean City.
Uh-huh.
Actually, I'm in the thousands now. So fairness. People have a feeling that there's really not a sense of fairness, that certain people get treated better than other people. And I believe that everybody has a right to the same opportunities from their government, and there shouldn't be any differences.
Yeah, it's true. I knocked on a lot of doors in my campaigns, and I know that. But it's funny because people will say, "Geez, how do you put up with all the stupid questions you get?" But the funny thing is, you don't really get questions, do you?
No, you don't get a lot of questions. You get people telling you things.
Yeah.
Oftentimes they just want to let you know what they're feeling more so than a lot of questions.
Yeah.
I wish I got more, but. Still, you learn so much by walking blocks and knocking on doors. And I mean, you learn about apartments that you didn't even know were there.
Uh-huh.
When there's a 3-story walk up, and also back apartments that open off an alley, and all sorts of, and then also homes that somebody invites you into their home, and you look out over this beautiful vista of the bay or the ocean, and it's unbelievable. It's a lot of fun.
It's a great town.
It is a phenomenal town.
A lot of misspent youth in that town for me.
I like it. Well, it's just a great family town, and I think that me being mayor would make it better.
Okay. How'd the first debate go?
Well, the first debate was not a debate.
Oh.
The first debate was me answering questions for an hour and 15 minutes because the mayor didn't show up.
Oh, about that.
So that was the first one. It was a little trying because there were two people asking me questions. So the minute I got finished the first question, I would turn and the guy would fire another question at me. And it was a little grueling, but it was fun.
Uh-huh.
And the second debate, they changed the format, so it really wasn't much of a debate. It was more, I gave a speech, and then the mayor gave a speech, and then we kind of walked into the audience and mixed with people.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that was not a debate. Now, last evening, we did have a debate at the Ocean City High School,
uh-huh.
and it went well. I was pleased. I don't believe in a lot of angst back and forth. I've really tried to run a very positive campaign. I'm a little distressed right now, and I come to you today as I come to you. I have an issue that's I find really serious, and I'm quite upset about it, and that's an illegal campaign contribution that was given to Mayor Gillian's campaign.
Really?
Yes, by his dad on April the 22nd, his father, who is retired and lives in Florida, gave a $10,000 contribution, which is in excess of what you're allowed to give in the state of New Jersey.
$2,600.
Correct.
Is it, right?
Correct. Yeah, $2,600 from any individual, and he gave $10,000, and he gave it on the 22nd. Now, if you get a campaign contribution that's incorrect, you have 48 hours to return it. But
right.
Since he got it on the 22nd of May and then never returned it because
22nd of April.
Right, 22nd of April. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Right, and he reported it on his elect report on May the 2nd.
It should have been completed by then.
Right.
Money should have been returned, and that was it.
Well,
right?
and I've called elect, and elect has acknowledged that there is a problem and that it is in not a valid contribution, but because it's in the middle of a campaign, they'll wait till the election's over.
I see.
So he gets to use the money even though it's illegally obtained,
Yeah.
and then we'll deal with it after the election.
That's that doesn't sound right to me.
It doesn't sound right to me either, but it certainly doesn't jive with my sense of fairness and the first thing in my campaign platform. So
Yeah.
I'm a little bit upset about it, but hey, you have to move forward, and that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah. Well, and that's the press release that you just handed me, right?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. Mayor Gillian's campaign discloses contribution in violation of state law. So.
Right.
Well, there's. I know that if they find people for this kind of stuff, it happens long after the election.
Right.
And this is probably something that had you not gotten that report like you did, you would have never known.
That's right. And it's it is subject to a $7,500 fine, actually.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
And there's it's clearly listed, and it's on the campaign finance report, and there's actually a website that if anybody had any questions, they could go to www.elec.state.nj.us, and all of the regulations are right there on the website. So it's unfortunate for me because, boy, I'd love to have an extra $10,000. I'd do a whole lot more
Sure.
radio advertising than I'm able to do.
We'd like that also. We'd like that a whole lot. Well, there's, in addition to that, there's a lot of expenses. I think I read a report the other day that talked about some of the things that you spent money on. You haven't spent a whole lot of money at this point, have you?
I've spent, I don't even actually have the numbers, but, I had to buy signs was $1,600.
Yeah.
And what other expenses? Oh, I've had some expenses for mailings.
Yeah.
Luckily, I've done my mailings, here locally, and I try as much as I can to keep it local if I can.
Yeah.
That's not always possible, but really the mailings and the signs, and that's probably most of my expenses at this point.
Yeah, I think that's all it said. I had it somewhere because I talked about the election in Ocean City a couple of days ago, and I talked about you and Mayor Gillian, and also the other 5 people that are running for 3 open seats.
Right.
Who are the incumbents? Who are the incumbents right now?
The incumbents are Mike Allegretto,
Right.
Keith Hartzell, and just Mike Allegretto and Keith Hartzell, the 2 that are running.
Right.
And then there are 3 non-incumbents also.
Okay. So there was a 3rd candidate who decided not to run.
That's right, Scott Ping.
Scott Ping.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
unfortunate. I wish he had run, but he
Yeah.
decided to give it a pass this time.
That's been a very quiet election also, too, hasn't it?
It seems that it has been a quiet election, but I'm not sure exactly what that means. And I think a lot of times people want more of a sense of angst or of candidates coming at each other.
Yeah.
I prefer for people to understand my vision of where I want to go with Ocean City, and not going back at maybe missteps of the current mayor. I just want to do things different and better.
Yeah.
And I hate to always go back to some of the missteps of painting curbs yellow and
Yeah.
ripping down the annex when city council didn't even know it, and everybody was screaming around town and those sorts of things. I love Ocean City, and I love the reputation of Ocean City being a clean, safe family town, and I want to keep it that way and make it better.
I like that attitude. Let me tell you how I can do things better, not how the last guy did a lousy job.
Right, and
Makes good sense.
Yeah, that's what I've tried to do. I'm I'm really upset about this campaign contribution, and it's why I bring it up, because it's in the middle of the election cycle. I mean, the election's 5 days away.
All right, we're with Ed Price. He's candidate for mayor in Ocean City, New Jersey. The election is the 13th of May, which is this Tuesday coming up. It's a nonpartisan election, so there's no Republicans or Democrats running. There's just human beings that are running for positions, which is probably a pretty cool way to put it. And when we come back, we're going to talk to Ed Price about his vision for Ocean City. So right now we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back in just a couple minutes.
News Talk 1400, WOND.
Now back to Bob Burns in your afternoon on News Talk 1400, WOND.
All right, we're back. I just have a little housekeeping to catch up with here. 1 Hour Heating and Air promises prompt and professional service to all their customers, always on time, or you don't pay a dime. Call them today at 609-641-7777. All right, we're with Ed Price. He's candidate for mayor in Ocean City, New Jersey, not Egg Harbor Township. That's where I live. He lives in Ocean City, New Jersey, and we're talking about. Let's talk about your vision for the city. I'm reading here. You have a bunch of thoughts about your vision for the city and things that you would like to fix and things that you'd like to take care of. And what's on your agenda, Ed?
Bob, I sure do. My agenda, probably the top thing, is the roads in Ocean City are really bad.
Oh, no.
But it's a quick rundown: roads, drainage, lagoons, beaches, and the look of Ocean City. As you come in, I want Ocean City to look like you're driving into Disney World. Everybody knows when they go in and they pay that parking fee in Disney World, although there's no parking fee to get into Ocean City. But
right. Not yet.
That feeling of, wow, I'm here. And we've gotten a lot of it back with the 9th Street Bridge. When you come over the 9th Street Bridge, it looks awful nice.
That's a hell of a sight, isn't it?
Boy, isn't it great?
You come over that bridge, and it's like, many times I've been in Ocean City, and every time I drove over, I got to remember I have to drive the car. I just can't look.
Yeah, but I want to
see all the way to the ocean.
All the way over to the ocean. And I want to see a nice sign that says America's Greatest Family Resort.
Yeah.
So when you look out at that ocean, you see that sign too, and you say, wow, I'm here.
One of I did a report. I read a report a couple of weeks ago of the top 5 beaches in the country, and Ocean City was one of the top 5.
And Ocean City always rates top there, but we unfortunately with the effects of Hurricane Sandy, but also just non-maintenance of the beaches for a long period of time in the south end of Ocean City, we really have some serious beach erosion problems.
Really?
And we do have a project coming in from the Army Corps of Engineers that will be starting in the fall. And it's sort of unfortunate because that project, I think, could have started much earlier. If the city government had worked a little bit harder and faster at talking to the Army Corps, I think we could have gotten it sooner. And that's, that's really the South End, and a lot of people in the South End, and I live toward the South End, they feel sometimes that they're not all included because you forget. A lot of people drive over that 9th Street Bridge and go to the beach, at 9th Street or 10th or 11th. There's beautiful beaches down at 57th and 55th Street and all along Ocean City.
That was always my favorite places to go, down 34th, down in that area.
Yeah.
The beaches are nice and wide, and I used to surf after 6.
There you go. Well, the beaches aren't as wide nowadays, but we're working on that. So, and that's something that I find will be a challenge to be sure that we not just get them rebuilt, but maintain them. And that's one of the big issues with regard to one of our other big things, and that's lagoons. Most of the boats are sitting on mud in the lagoons these days.
Really?
When you have some of the houses that are there in Ocean City along those lagoons, it's a travesty that such a beautiful resource as the lagoons around Ocean City are not properly dredged and on an ongoing basis.
Yeah.
So that's something that I want to work very hard, and I think we can have a lot better plan to get those complete.
Well, why aren't the lagoons being dredged?
Well, for a number of reasons. One is simply focus by the city government. You need to focus on them, but it seems that Ocean City historically has only focused on them when they become a problem instead of doing routine maintenance for them. And the challenge is always to find a dredge spoil site, a place to put the material that you dredge. And we do now we've been working on a couple of different ones. I really want to work hard to have one that can be accessed by truck, so that once you pump the dredge spoils into an area, you can then manage that area. One of the big things that people don't know about dredge spoils is it contains a significant amount of organic material. And if you pump it to a certain spot, you can manage it by turning it over and actually manipulating it around. And the organic material breaks down so that the dredge spoils become much less in volume. And then they can be trucked out easier and less expensive.
Sort of like compost.
Exactly. And then looking to get a 10-year maintenance dredging permit so that Ocean City could dredge on a routine circulating basis.
Yeah.
So that it doesn't go all bad at once.
Would it be feasible for the city to have their own dredging equipment?
I believe it would be. The city used to have a dredge years ago. They got rid of it. I'm not sure exactly why. It's been it's been quite a while since they had it. But
yeah.
I believe that Ocean City has enough lagoons and enough issues with it that we have to look into it in order to take care of that resource for Ocean City in the long term. And that's what I'm about, is longer term planning, not we're going to take care of it now and then we'll worry about it again in 5 years.
Yeah.
I don't think that that's right for the citizens of our town.
No, it's not. It really isn't. And that's like you talk about the paving. I know that if you don't keep up on paving, it just gets, one day you're so far behind you can't catch up.
Oh, I mean, right now it's difficult for me to get to my house. When I go over the 9th Street Bridge, I try to turn right on Bay Avenue. Bay Avenue is closed. I go down to Simpson Avenue and I go one street and it's closed again. And then I got to turn and go to Haven, and then I go down Haven Avenue, and I can go like 2 blocks, and it's a challenge to get around. And I feel terrible for some of the businesses along Bay Avenue. I mean, you have a Bongo Grill, and you have Malin Sticky Buns, and you have some businesses along there that are getting hammered over the fact that there's, that people can't get there. Some people don't even know they're open. And that's not fair to our businesses in town.
No, it's not. Well, you know what it's like to be a small business. It's tough. Let's talk to Steve in Atlantic City. What's up, Steve?
Gentlemen, why can't you dump the dredge spoils in the ocean?
The dredge spoils being dumped in the ocean is a problem because the DEP will not allow you to.
Well, that's a short answer.
Yeah, a lot of it is controlled by the DEP, and that's where all the permitting comes from.
So you can't just dump it in the
Pretty
ocean.
much it's where it came from, isn't it?
Actually, no, he's taking it out of the lagoons in the back, in the bay. They're taking it out of the
I've just been this where it came from the ocean originally, is what I would assume.
Yeah, well, that's a long stretch, but the DEP has their own set of rules and their own set of people that set those rules, and sometimes they're incomprehensible, Steve.
Is that stuff toxic?
No, it's not toxic. No.
Okay, thank you.
All right, take care. Yeah, it's the DEP is just they're
tough.
They're an odd bunch to get along with.
Well, and that's really one of the things that I like to do, and I think I'm good at, is talking to people and getting along with people. And that's what needs to happen there, is we have to talk to the DP and say, we have an issue here and we need some help. Now, other towns have done it. And, further north, there have been towns who have gotten maintenance dredging permits and the ability to put dredge spoils in different areas. So if other people can do it through the DP, then we should be able to too. And I'm sure that somewhere up the line we'll get there, even if we got to get to Chris Christie's office. And let me tell you what, I don't think he'll let me get there, because I'm sure he has a lot of people before I get there that are going to help me.
You're probably right. Well, let me ask you this about the how many people are permanent residents in Ocean City? Do you have any
permanent residents? Are around 15,000 now. Registered voters, there's 8,900 registered voters coming.
And what percentage of the homes in Ocean City are permanent residents? Do you have any idea?
I don't know the percentage on that. No.
It's one of the problems, and it's just like business owners. I dealt with business owners when I was mayor of Egg Harbor Township, and the business owners to feel as if they don't have a representation because they don't have a vote.
I get that. As I've walked around, there have been a lot of people opening up their houses for the spring, in the springtime, and they've said that to me over and over. We're non-resident taxpayers. We pay our taxes, but we don't get a vote. And a lot of people ask the question of, why can't I just vote on local things here?
Yeah.
And those aren't rules that I make. Those are rules that the state and federal government make. So
Well, how would you represent the people the people that don't have a vote? What would you do to represent them?
Well, Ocean City needs to be looked at as a whole, not as whether or not it's, obviously we want more people in Ocean City. We want more families. We're looking at everything that we can do to promote Ocean City as a year-round place to live. But the homeowners that are not year-round need to be taken care of just as the people who are year-round, because that's what our tax base is made up of.
You're lighting up the phones. We have Eric on dredging. Eric, go ahead.
Hey, what's up, you guys? Listen, when you go over the Dolores Cooper Bridge, if you look to the right when you're headed towards Summers Point when they built the bridge, they dumped 2 giant piles of dredge spoils right there.
Yeah.
So they did. And actually, after about 20 years, they grow a little forest on them, really. So they're kind of good for the environment. Why don't they just find spaces on the marsh and pump them there?
That actually, Eric, you're right, and those are some of the areas that are being looked at by the City of Ocean City right now and the DEP. What we need to do is finalize those plans, but make it so that we can get to them to be able to empty them, because one of the biggest issues is as you do the dredging, you'd be surprised how fast that builds up to literally a mountain, and it needs to then be managed and be trucked out so that you can do more, because it just keeps coming.
I mean, down in Avalon, I heard they were talking about moving their piles of dredge spoils that were on the marsh, which didn't make any sense. They were sort of spending more money. That around the log cabin in Margate, it's always a huge sandbar. I don't know if you ever noticed it going over the Margate Bridge at low tide. And they wouldn't let them dredge that because they said there were clams in it.
Yeah, and there's always issues with regard to time of year with dredging. So sometimes at certain times of year, they will not let you dredge in certain areas.
Well, my argument with that was, why don't they let the clammers go get the clams out of there and then dredge the thing?
Well, that might be too simple.
You know?
That's too simple.
I mean,
What are you, troublemaker?
But I know a guy who hit a sandbar, was driving with his brother years ago. He ended up killing his own brother on a boat. His brother hit his head real hard. They slammed into a sandbar, and, God rest his soul, he ended up killing his own brother. So these sandbars are dangerous.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are, Eric.
So,
all right, Eric.
anyway,
thanks.
take care, guys.
Thank you.
Take care. All right, we have Joe from Galloway. He wants to talk about dredging, too, and then we need to take a break. Go ahead, Joe.
Hey, Bob, a great show. Nice guest. Why not use the dredging spoils for cover on the landfill?
Ah, that's an idea.
Haul it out to the landfill and use it instead of buying gravel.
That sounds like a great idea to me, Joe. I like that idea.
Or just pump it out in the ocean where it belongs and tell the DEP, don't ask them, just say this is what we're doing with it. Because the DEP has become so impossible on everything that, how did we lose control? What happened to by the people, for the people? The people want dredging. We want to get rid of sandbars. We need to use the canals. Yet you have the DEP all the time being a pain about everything. And at some point, we need to abolish some of this.
I think
Thank
you're right.
you. Great gift.
Thanks,
See you,
Joe.
Bob.
Thank
All
you.
right. All right, we're with Ed Price. He's running for mayor of Ocean City, and we need to take a break. When we come back, I want to know why you haven't paid the city. Why the housing authority hasn't paid the city.
Oh, okay.
I've heard that you guys just aren't writing the check, so we'll find out why when we come back.
News Talk 1400, WOND.
Now back to Bob Burns in your afternoon on News Talk 1400 WOND.
All right, we're back. We're talking to Ed Price. Ed Price is a candidate for mayor in Ocean City, New Jersey. And so let me ask you this question. Now, I prefaced this before we took the break, and the rumor has it that you're chairman of the housing department?
That's correct, the Housing Authority.
Housing Authority. And you haven't paid the city?
We have not.
And why didn't you pay the city?
Well, because the city didn't do all the construction that they were supposed to do, and they didn't do it properly.
Really?
Yeah. So
where was the construction?
Well, it happened at an area called Peck's Beach Village, which is around 4th Street, 4th and West in Ocean City.
I'm familiar with that.
Yeah, there were, during Hurricane Sandy, there were 61 units. It's only a 121-unit housing authority, but there were 61 units that were flooded out. People got up to 36 inches of water in their houses.
Wow.
It was a terrible time, and it was really an emergency situation that happened. These people had to be put up in hotels, and they had families, and it was a bit of a disaster at the time. And the city stepped in and said, well, we'll rebuild this for you because we were obviously waiting for insurance money like everybody else does. And the city said, well, we want to get the people back as quickly as possible, so we're going to step in. And I was not the chairperson at the time. There was another chairperson. His name is Bill Woods. He's still on our board, but was no longer the chairperson. He coordinated with the city and got the construction done. And they did it in an emergency type of situation. They did it very, very quickly. And the people were back in by the end of February from October. The problem was that they broke most of the rules as they put these people back in so quickly. There's a lot of rules regarding bidding and regarding, making sure that the contractors know what they're doing and that kind of stuff. But all that aside, the biggest issue that's left for us right now are the heaters and hot water heaters that were put in were not compliant with HUD regulations. And we're governed by HUD. Housing and Urban Development.
Sure, yeah.
So because of that, we're trying to work some sort of a settlement with the city regarding those heaters and hot water heaters because HUD can actually reduce our utility subsidy that affects the rent of the people who live there.
They're subsidized housing.
That's right. So the biggest deal for me is protecting the people. And, I've gotten a lot of grief over the Housing Authority because people have said, well, Ed Price, why aren't you paying? And it's not me, it's the whole board, number one. And number two, the reason that we haven't paid is we are concerned about our residents. And if our residents' rents are going to go up because the wrong heaters and hot water heaters are put in, that comes under our purview. We really have to worry about that.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. So recently we got a letter back from HUD saying that they felt that the money received back in our insurance could be paid back as long as we come to some agreement on the heaters and hot water heaters. We got an opinion from our attorney in the same vein that said the same thing. And we met with the city, and we're waiting for the city to get back to us regarding the heaters and hot water heaters.
Well, they have to replace them with they'll have to, right?
Well, that's kind of where we're at right now is trying to decide what really needs to get done there because it's going to be expensive to replace them. And they're obviously better than the original ones that were in there, but the long-term problem is that if HUD comes back later and says, well, you didn't put in the right stuff, so we're going to reduce your subsidy, then our residents are in a tight spot. And, it's funny because I've gotten beaten up. There was an editorial in the paper this week in Ocean City, the Sentinel, and somebody really tried to take me to task over it and make me a bad guy. And I laughed because during the hurricane, they said the city was trying to help the people.
Right.
And now I'm wondering why everybody's abandoning the people because I'm the person now saying, no, I want to help the people. I'm not paying until I know it's safe to pay.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at. I'm hoping it's going to work out in the next several weeks. A lot of people have said, well, Ed Price is holding back the money because of the election to try to make Mayor Gillian look bad. When meanwhile, Mayor Gillian keeps putting it in the paper, and I do look bad anyway. So, what's the big deal here?
All right. Let's talk to Carl in Egg Harbor Township, who has a question about the school board.
Oh. Hey,
Go ahead,
Carl.
Yeah, my question is, I believe before the sitting mayor was mayor, I think he was either president of the school board or something.
That's correct.
And he opened up the superintendent of schools contract early. That way she wouldn't have to take a pay cut when her contract expired under the rules that Christie made with the size of the schools and stuff. And I don't know, it didn't sit well with me as a taxpayer, even though I'm not one of Ocean City.
Carl, you know what you're talking about. I'm surprised that you picked all that up. But yes, that's exactly what happened. And, with the new payment regulations, our superintendent is, I think, somewhere between $30,000 and $60,000 over the cap of.
Right, and I just, because I feel for the taxpayers of any community when something like that happens, save them money.
There you go.
Right.
And I wish you well, sir.
Oh, thank you very much.
Okay, take care.
You too.
Thanks, Carl.
Sure. Bye-bye.
All right. Let's do this just for grins. Alice Gordon, what's on your mind?
Yeah, I wanted to ask the mayor of Ocean City, there in Lander City, we have a lot of crime, a lot of low-income housing, and how come the taxes in Ocean City are so high? I had to pay $15,000 for 2 years of a small little apartment on stilts.
Okay, we'll ask the question. Thanks for calling, Alice. Taxes and let me begin this in a different manner. I had someone call the other day. A caller mentioned that the home values in Ocean City are really very high, and there's really no way out of that. There's nothing that you're going to be able to do, and I guess that comes into play with it kind of pushing the full-time people out.
Well, that's actually a really good question, and here's how it lays out. The home values are higher in Ocean City because obviously it's an island, it's near the water, and it's desirable. But because there are so many homes in Ocean City, the taxes are actually reasonably low on a home value that's much higher. So take, for instance, a $500,000 home in Ocean City, you might pay $3,000 a year in taxes, $30,000 to $500,000, probably about $3,500, maybe $4,000.
Okay.
If you take a $500,000 home in Linwood, you're going to pay like $12,000 in taxes. So in reality, where's it cheaper to live? When you're talking about having a mortgage payment and tax payment, in a lot of ways, Ocean City is a desirable community to live in. And even though the home prices are higher, it may be a very good investment because the taxes are actually lower, even though our taxes have gone up for the last 4 years in a row under Mayor Gillian.
That's just like Longport. Longport taxes are just, dirt cheap.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, and what a lot of people don't know about Ocean City is the 5th largest rateable base in the state of New Jersey.
Really?
Yeah, and people go, are you kidding me? It goes Newark, Jersey City, Atlantic City, Toms River Township, and then Ocean City. So, the billions upon billions of dollars in ratables that sit in Ocean City are, they're there because it is a shore community, but more than that, they're there because it's America's greatest family resort. And we don't ever want to forget that, and we don't want to lose that. And that's why I'm running for mayor.
Give me your 2-minute closing.
My 2-minute closing is I'm having a good time, and I really love Ocean City. But love alone is not going to make Ocean City the community that it needs to be. I'm going to get in there, and I'm going to make sure that we have some smooth roads to drive on, that you can drive without trying to dodge a puddle big enough to swallow a Mack truck. And make sure that you can drive through our lagoons in your boat and not damage your boat or hurt somebody. And make sure that our beaches and our boardwalk look the way they should. And make sure that our downtown is taken care of, that our merchants are vibrant and are having a good time. And just have families there. I love it, and I think it's a great place to live. And anybody out there listening that doesn't live in Ocean City, come on in. It's a great place to live.
We have space, right? We have space. Actually, Lauren just moved out of Ocean City.
Oh, come on back, Lauren.
And it's been fun having you here today. It's invigorating to hear your sight of what you think should be done in Ocean City, and I wish you success.
Bob, thank you very much. And when the election's over, win or lose, I'll come back and talk, and we can maybe recap.
That'll be great.
Thank you so much.